Paramahamsa Parivraj Akacharya Astottara Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Foundation Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Akacharya Astottara Shata Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Kaur Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhuma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jaya Shri Rupa Sanata Bhatta Raghunatha Shijiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prince Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Gurunath Raj Srimad Bhagavatam. Atma Guru Vrinda Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Brahmanande. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to Sri Sri Guru Sri Guranga. All glory is to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskritya Naram Jaya Narotamam Devam Saraswatam Vyasam Tito Jayam Hridayat Nasta Preshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances under the personality of Godhead Narayan, under Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, under Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and under Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by the rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. All right. All right. Good morning, everybody. So today is December 14th, 2025, and we are reading Canto 4, Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 31, Narada instructs the Prachetas, and we are reading verse 7. Ana pradyotayatma Jnanam tatvartha darshanam Yenam jasa tarishyamo Dustaram bhavasagaram Tana pradyotayatma Jnanam tatvartha darshanam Yenam jasa tarishyamo Dustaram bhavasagaram Tana pradyotayatma Jnanam tatvartha darshanam Yenam jasa tarishyamo Dustaram bhavasagaram Tana pradyotayatma Jnanam tatvartha darshanam Yenam jasa tarishyamo Dustaram bhavasagaram. Please chant. Anna pradyotayatma Jnanam tatvartha darshanam Yenam jasa tarishyamo Dustaram bhavasagaram Tana pradyotayatma Jnanam tatvartha darshanam Yenam jasa tarishyamo Dustaram bhavasagaram
Tana prayodayatma Jnanam tatvartha darshanam
Jnanam tatvartha darshanam
Yenam jasa tarishyamo
Yenam jasa tarishyamo
Dustaram
bhavasagaram Tana pradyotayatma Jnanam tatvartha darshanam Yenam jasa tarishyamo Dustaram bhavasagaram Tana pradyotayatma Jnanam tatvartha darshanam Yenam jasa tarishyamo Dustaram bhavasagaram. Okay, word for word. Ta, therefore. Na, for us. Prayodata, pradyotaya, kindly awaken. Adhyatma, transcendental. Jnanam, knowledge. Tattva, absolute truth. Artha, for the purpose of. Darshanam, philosophy. Yena, by which. Agyasa, easily. Tarishyama, we can cross over. Dustaram, formidable. Bhavasagaram, the ocean of nescience. Okay. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dear Master, kindly enlighten us in transcendental knowledge, by which we cross the dark. Please repeat. Dear Master, in transcendental as a torchlight, by which we may cross the dark nescience of material existence. Purport. The Prachetas requested Narada to enlighten them in transcendental knowledge. Generally, when a common man meets a saintly person, he wishes to get some material benediction. However, the Prachetas were not interested in material benefits, for they had enjoyed all this sufficiently, nor did they want the fulfillment of their material desires. They were simply interested in crossing the ocean of nations. Everyone should be interested in getting out of these material clutches. Everyone should approach a saintly person in order to be enlightened in this connection. One should not bother a saintly person to get blessings for material enjoyment. Householders receive saintly blessings. The real aim is to become material. Asking such material benedictions is not recommended in the sastras. Om Gyana Jamranda Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Namatila Swayam Rupa Kanamayam Darati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuktapad Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagratatam Sahagana Raghunatamitam Sajiva Savanetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Limita Shri Vishkambitam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandha Chakapate Gopesha Gopeka Andara Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Korangi Rai Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priya Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right. So, besides you, who remembers who is talking? Huh?
Oh, no.
Yeah, the Prachetas. Yeah. Okay. And so the Prachetas, they're approaching Narada, a great saintly person, and asking for instruction. And this is what we should do when we see a saintly person. In the Bhagavad Gita, verse 434 is just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire submissively, and render service unto him. And the self soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. And so this is what they're doing. They're very humbly asking Narada to instruct them and give them some knowledge. And they're not asking for any material benediction. And I think this is, like Srila Prabhupada said in the purport, this is something that's very common, right? When someone, they see their spiritual master and they kind of treat them like a marriage counselor, right? And always, wanting to get their spiritual master's advice on how to proceed in their marriage problem, with their marital problems. And so this is generally not the best use of your time with your spiritual master, right? Because you can, and not to mention, I mean, your spiritual master, more likely than not, is renounced. Perhaps he was married, perhaps he wasn't, but you may not, be in the best position to give marital advice, right? And so it's just kind of a waste of time where you should be asking about spiritual knowledge and ask to be instructed in spiritual knowledge. So, and so many people, they treat their guru as a counselor or a friend or even a trophy, right? That's another thing people do. Like they say, see, look at my spiritual master, he has so many disciples, he's so learned, but they're not actually learning anything from him, right? So the spiritual master is actually a representative of God. So in the 11th canto, it says, "My dear king, a disciple has to accept the spiritual master not only as spiritual master, but also as the representative of the supreme personality of Godhead and the super soul. In other words, the disciple should accept the spiritual master as God because he is the external manifestation of Krishna." So the spiritual master is Krishna's the manifestation of Krishna in person with us. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Adi Lila, it says, "According to the deliberate opinion of all revealed scriptures, the spiritual master is non-different from Krishna. Lord Krishna, in the form of the spiritual master, delivers his devotees." So if Krishna was standing here right now, would you ask him, how can you get your wife to stop complaining about leaving your socks on the floor? Or whatever it is, whatever the problem is. No. I mean, I would hope you wouldn't do that. Maybe you would. I don't know. And so the spiritual master, the song that we sing every morning we sing this song. So I'm just going to read 2 of the verses. Of course, we all know these. Samsara Davana Lida Loka Lokatrayana. You want to sing? Samsara Davana Lida Loka Pranaya Karuna Asya Uttasukranyana Karuna Vasya Vande Karo Shri Charanara Vrinda. Okay, so the translation of that is the spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy. Just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it, so the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master, who is an ocean of auspicious qualities. I always love this first verse. I mean, to me, it's just so beautiful. I love that. Just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it. And that's what the spiritual master does to extinguish the blazing fire of material existence, right? So that is what the spiritual master does. Now, the 8th verse is translated as that beautiful song that we sing every morning. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master. At least 3 times a day, I should offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master. So I think most of us probably do that, at least when you're chanting Gayatri, right? You do that. And so, I mean, we sing this every morning, but I think sometimes people kind of forget what is the role of the spiritual master, right? It's somebody, it's someone that I can maybe have as a friend or ask for marital advice, or even a sparring partner, right? I'm going to debate and have I've heard of that, there is place for that as long as the topics are spiritually motivated. But ultimately, the spiritual master is Krishna's representative. So in the 7th canto, I love this. This is a beautiful quote from the 5th chapter of the 7th canto. It says, unless they smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, completely freed from material contamination, persons very much inclined towards materialistic life cannot be attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, who is glorified for his uncommon activities. Only by becoming Krishna conscious and taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord in this way can one be freed from material contamination. Yeah, so we need that. We need to surrender to that spiritual master in order to be freed from the material contamination. So another thing that is very important, and what I was just talking about, is like associating with your spiritual master in a proper way, but associating with the other devotees in a proper way is also very important. So proper association is so important. I mean, we could sit here and me and Garanga could go to the movies and watch, I don't know what's in the movies now, but some race car movie or something. I was thinking like the Fast and the Furious 25 or whatever. And we could spend the whole day together doing that, eating popcorn. We could go after that. We could go to go for yogurt. Yeah, exactly. We could do all that. And so we're associating, right? We're spending all that time together. But was that the best use of our time? Was that association uplifting? Was it helpful? Was Krishna involved in that at all? Probably not, right? And so it's not just a matter of spending time with each other, but doing it in a proper way. So it said that for devotees that are kind of on the same level of realization as you, you're supposed to make friends with them and develop a friendship with them. For devotees that have a higher realization than you, you should give them, you should give everybody all respects, but you should give them respects and learn from them. And then for devotees that have a little bit lower realization than you, you should give your mercy to them. And in this way, you can actually associate properly with each other. And that's beneficial and uplifting for all of us if we do that. We want to treat everybody with all respect, and we want to avoid kind of being overly familiar, because that can cause tensions, and we have to realize that Krishna is in all of us, right? Krishna is in everybody's heart. And so it was actually Jesus that said, whatever you do to the least of these, you do to me, right? And so I think that's a good rule to live by, is that if we realize that Krishna is in each and everybody's heart, then if we're treating them badly, that means we're also treating Krishna badly, right? And so, there's that golden rule, right? Do unto others as you have done unto you. And so that's a good rule of thumb. But to realize that if I'm mistreating him, I'm mistreating Krishna, right? If I'm treating him very nicely, even though he's mistreating me, well, then I'm doing that for Krishna. And so it's kind of a win-win situation, right? So, yeah, we just want our association to be uplifting and encouraging. And if the association that you're having with somebody is not uplifting and encouraging, you can really sit and think, okay, what can I do? What can we do to make it uplifting and encouraging? And sometimes, if you're in a position of authority, you might have to correct someone, but you can still do that in an encouraging way, right? In an uplifting way. So, you want to take every opportunity you can to associate with devotees that are more advanced than you. And the best way that we can do this, and one of the ways that we can do this at any time, is by reading Srila Prabhupada's books, or listening to his lectures, right? Mother Sandhamani so kindly got us those Prabhupada radios, right? And they're wonderful. I mean, you just turn them on and they start playing lectures by Srila Prabhupada. And so in that way, you can actually associate with a pure devotee any time of the day or night, right? You can hear his lectures. And we're very fortunate because for so many of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they didn't get that opportunity until recently, right? I mean, if there was a lecture that was recorded, I mean, you'd have to wait till someone like copied the tape and like mailed it to you. And, you know, I mean, whereas we, in the palm of our hands, literally have them all. You know, I've had a version of that radio like for a little while, and I've heard hundreds of lectures that I would not have otherwise heard. You know, just when I'm getting ready in the morning, I put it on, or when I'm doing my deity worship. And so in that way, you can associate with more advanced devotees. Going to allow us to cross that ocean of nescience. So in the previous verse, or I don't know if it was the exact previous before that, the Prachetas were saying that they were so entangled in family life that they almost forgot the instructions of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. And to me, you know, it's I think about, wow, you know, the Prachetas are certainly so much more advanced than me. And they had such amazing association, Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, right? But still, they were finding that material energy entangling. Right? They were becoming entangled in family life. And so what does that mean? It just means that we need to keep seeking out that association repeatedly. And so you know, don't think, oh yes, you know, okay, I've read the Bhagavad Gita and that's it. Now I never have to read it again, right? You know, no, we want to keep reading it. We want to keep having that association, because even with the best association, still the Prachetas were almost forgetting those instructions. And so I think that's very important to remember. So, yeah, because we can become distracted at every moment, especially when it comes to family life, right? I mean, that's so distracting. You're worrying about outgrowing their clothes, or they need braces, or they have to go to college, or you a hard time, you know, whatever it is, all to structure our life in such a way we can't really forget. That's what's so wonderful about the whole way that we live, right? We want to eat only prasadam, right? And so what function does that have besides the fact that we're serving Krishna by cooking for him and allowing him to enjoy the food, and then that becomes prasadam, and then we get to eat that prasadam, which is, you know, very purifying. But the beauty of that is that now, at every step of the way, you're thinking of Krishna. You're going to the store and you're buying ingredients to cook, and you're thinking, oh, you know, this has eggs in it. I can't get that, right? You know, and so you're just thinking of Krishna. Then when you're home and you're cooking, right? You're thinking, oh, you know, as you're cooking, you're thinking of Krishna, because you don't want to taste it, because then that would make the food impure, right? So you're thinking, oh, I hope this is enough salt, or I hope, you know, whatever it is, or not too much. And so you're thinking of Krishna. Then when you're offering the bhoga, you're thinking of Krishna. And then when you're eating it, right, you're thinking of Krishna. And so in that way, every time you eat, you're thinking of Krishna. And then it's so important too, right? Because you're thinking of Krishna every day. Like I said, when I see a flower, I think, oh, my deities would like this. So now I'm thinking of Krishna, right? And so if you set up your life in this way, then there's kind of like these automatic points throughout the day where you're going to be thinking of Krishna, right? So that's what's so amazing about makes it so like even if we do forget about Krishna for a little bit, as soon as we get hungry again, well, we're thinking about it, right? So, so why they're so important or how much of an influence they can have on life. And so there's a story I've told before, but it just, it really shows the kind of power that a spiritual master can have on your life. And it's very simple. When I first came, I was kind of struggling to get up to 16 rounds, chanting 16 rounds. And so I was always trying to, but for whatever reason, I just like couldn't do it. And I wanted to do it. I tried to do it, but I just couldn't do it. I could get to maybe like 8. And so then finally I talked to Jivananda Prabhu, who was not my spiritual master yet. And I told him, I'm really get to 16 rounds, but I'm having a really hard time. And all he did was he looked at me and he said, well, you should chant 16 rounds. And I remember thinking like, well, yeah, what the heck do you think I've been doing? But I didn't want to be rude. So I was just like, okay, thank you. And I was like walking away thinking like, what? Well, that wasn't helpful, But wouldn't you know it, all of a sudden I was able to chant 16 rounds like the following day. So I mean, wow. Yeah. And so, although at the time I was thinking, what, that wasn't helpful at all. It actually was, and then of course later he, I took initiation from him, and so in that way, I was empowered by the spiritual master to actually start my journey of devotional service. And thankfully, I didn't make any offenses by, saying, well, duh. You thought that. Yeah. I did think that, yeah. And so I don't know if does any of you have a story like that, or you were empowered by your spiritual master, or your spiritual master had like such an effect on you in any way? Yeah, Arjuna?
I mean, I used to distribute books all the time. So many books. Okay. Talked to Guru Maharaj when he was here. Like, gross. And I've been kind of in a situation where I've been a bit more ambulant than normal, and then traveling around giving people rides. I'm like, I'm going to transcendentalize this, and like I've been distributing books left and right, and it's like I'm not even trying that hard, and it's like, oh, yeah. And I'm thinking about Guru, how he used to live out of his van pretty much and travel from Tennessee to Arizona, just like distributing books, talking to Indians, and
yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and that's good. That empowerment's there, and like I like what you said. How you're driving people around, and thinking like, okay, I need to transcendentalize this, and that's like exactly what we should be doing, right? If we find ourselves, doing something that kind of is sort of mundane or whatever, if we can find a way to transcendentalize it, then that makes it, something that is far more worthwhile, right? And so look at all those people now that would not have otherwise come in contact with Srila Prabhupada's books are now in contact with them.
And some of these people are devotees and you didn't even know it too. Like there's this woman on the east side, I gave her a ride to work. She was like Thai or something, and she was going to like a Thai restaurant, and she saw because like, you know how the passenger seat of the car, like how it has that pouch in the back, you know, and I put some books in there. And she like, what? She's like, I study this. She's like, I'm from, you know, Southeast Asia. I go and I travel, I study this and never get time off. So you can have that, you know, that's free. She's like, really? And it's like, and I gave her, you know, a card for her. I didn't have any Mantra Oasis ones at that time. She lived like very close to there. I wish I would have thought of telling her like, oh, right around the corner.
Right.
You know, but it's like, she's probably very, very busy with that restaurant and stuff and with her own studies, and she might not even know until now, you know, that there's a temple over here.
Yeah. Well, hopefully she'll find out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyone else? Chandrika?
Well, I had this is kind of a long time ago when with Srila Prabhupada came to me. Actually, I was thinking about like, okay, at some point I want to have children and like that, but it's sort of like never really sort of manifested into like, okay, when. And then one night, Srila Prabhupada just came to me very strong. I don't know if it was either a vision or a dream. I don't know. It was very strong. And he just said, chant 50 rounds. And it woke me up. I don't know if I was awake or not. It was weird.
Yeah.
And so then I said to, you know, my husband, Charahas, I said, okay, Srila Prabhupada said chant 50 rounds. That means it's, and so we did. And it happened to be a Sunday. And so we chanted 50 rounds and then did the other mantras and that, and it worked.
And then
I got pregnant.
Yeah. That's amazing how Srila Prabhupada is.
Yeah, and actually both times with both my kids.
Yeah.
So that was very empowering.
Make sure you got, you know, all prepared, ready to go. Wonderful.
That was very empowering.
You gotta chant 50 rounds to bring.
Yeah, the good souls. Yeah. I know, that's amazing. Because like previous to that, I'm guessing you weren't doing that, right? So I mean, that's wonderful how.
Not 50 rounds.
Yeah.
I wasn't even. I mean, I was planning in my mind, but I never got to the stage of,
Right.
you know. But then I was like, okay, I guess it's kind of like you want to have a baby, but you keep putting it off because I got this to do first, and I got mad, and I'll wait another year. I'll wait, and then I guess it was time.
That's great. Oh, wow. Wonderful. All right. So anybody else have like that? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, so there's a lot of examples from the Bhagavatam of this kind of empowerment or this very important relationship with the spiritual master. Pretty much, not all of them, but so many of them have Narada Muni in them, right? I mean, there's no Narada Muni, right, himself, how he became Narada Muni. But he was associating a Gandharva, and then he was kind of cursed to take a material birth as the son of a maidservant, and his mother used to take care of these sages at a certain time of year, and so he went and just kind of eavesdropped on them. He would listen to them speaking and eating their remnants, and through that association, he became incredibly enlightened from that, and then took birth as Narada Muni, who then went on to spiritual master of so many people and the instigator of so many different events, right? So then there's this story of Narada Muni and Dhruva, right? So Narada Muni instructs Dhruva to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and Dhruva listened to him, and through listening and following the instructions of his spiritual master, and he was only 5 years old. So for sometimes people say, oh, you know, I'll do that later. I'll do that later in life when I get older. But you know, at 5 years old, Dhruva was doing it. So what's your excuse? And so what happened to Dhruva was he was able to see the Lord face to face. He got to actually see the Lord face to face. And that's all because he listened to his spiritual master. So have Narayana and Prahlad, right? Prahlad became enlightened in the womb, right? In the womb of his mother, because Narada Muni was kind of preaching to his mother while Prahlad was in the womb. And Narada had saved his mother because the demigods were trying to kill her because they said, oh, she's pregnant, she's going to give birth to a demon. She was the wife of Kashipu, and who's a demon, and she also was. And so they said, of course, she's going to give birth to a demon. We gotta kill her. No, in her womb is like a great devotee. You can't do that. And so then he kind of kidnapped her and was preaching to her the whole time. And because of that, Prahlad in the womb became liberated. Let's see, then there's also Srila Vyasadeva and Narada Muni, right? So Srila Vyasadeva had compiled all of the Vedantic literatures, right? But still, he was feeling kind of not right, a little bit incomplete. He wasn't feeling, uplifted by this. And Narada came and was able to instruct him and tell him that's because you haven't sufficiently glorified the Supreme Lord, right? And so then Srila Vyasadeva wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam, which glorifies the Supreme Lord. And so then he was able to feel, satisfied and happy. Let's see. Then there's, Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami, right? So Maharaj Parikshit, he was cursed to die in 7 days because he had offended, he didn't sage, although he had made an offense to a sage, but he had offended the sage's son, who then cursed him to die in 7 days by being bit by a snake bird. And so Maharaj Parikshit realized, I better get my affairs in order. And he asked Sukadeva Goswami, what is the duty of a man about to die? And then the entire Bhagavatam was narrated to him. And so not only was Sukadeva Goswami instructing Parikshit Maharaj, but all of us too, right? Because that's what we're reading right now, is that instruction that he's given. And then, of course, we have Srila Prabhupada and his spiritual master, right? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, right? And what's so inspiring about that story, that whole thing, is that Srila Prabhupada really didn't have a lot of close association with his spiritual master. He really only was with him, like, I think, was it twice? And then two times? 4 times? And then some letters. But still, look at what Srila Prabhupada managed to accomplish, right? None of us would be sitting here if Srila Prabhupada did not follow the instruction of his spiritual master. And so sometimes when we get an instruction from our spiritual master, it can, seem like, oh, it's not so important to follow it, right? But I mean, what if Srila Prabhupada had done that, right? None of us would be here. I mean, this knowledge of Krishna would be very, very small in the Western world, right? But because Srila Prabhupada took that instruction, and it was an instruction that was given to him the day that they met, right? He didn't even know his spiritual master at all. And yeah, and I mean, can you imagine that? You meet somebody for the first time, and then they tell you to do something. I mean, most people would think, well, like, who are you to tell me to do something? I don't have to listen to you. I have nothing invested in this relationship. But thankfully, Srila Prabhupada did listen to him. Now, it took him a long time to fulfill that, to complete to start work on that instruction, although he did start work on it, but to be successful in it, it took him a while. But he followed it. And so if your spiritual master gives you an instruction, even if it seems like an impossible instruction, try to do it anyway, because the empowerment comes with that instruction. So, yeah.
So now I know that. Okay.
Yeah.
My first guru, Ramakar, the guru, he was all about distributing the books. I was so shy. And I just remember my dad saying, "No, everybody wants a handout." So I was like, oh my God. But he was the book distribution guru, and I just had to do it. But then also Divya Dristi, she was really bold. And so I just kind of followed along her. But, I always did bigger than she did, because I was just so panicked. Lord Chaitanya, please help me. Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya. I mean, I was like constant with him. And and then it was blissful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how that bliss can just come sometimes, in the most unlikely of circumstances. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we'll stop there. If there's
I have one other thing.
Yeah,
We
one
were
more?
talking about
Yeah.
what we can do to, make advancement. And one of the things was taking prasadam.
Yeah.
And so, after you think, what are you going to make? What are you going to shop for? You're going to cook and everything. And so then you offer it, and then you say the prayer before. And so the tongue is the most voracious and uncontrollable. So that helps you control your major sense of your tongue, and so then bellies, everything. So anyway, there's so much that we can glean from what Prabhupada gave us.
Yeah.
So many things.
Yeah. If we just follow, the program that he gave us, that structures our life in such a way so that we're always remembering Krishna at key points every day. So
And gradually get more it's a good process.
Oh yeah, Chandrika. Yeah.
Just a quick from what you were saying about remembering Krishna. And, those are all good points that, prasadam and everything. But also sometimes Krishna reminds us because sometimes you're out and, suddenly, you might hear "My Sweet Lord" in the store, or, suddenly you see a devotee or something like that. Especially in LA, I used to see there's a devotee, or in London or something. So there's many times that, Krishna, if we think we're forgetting, somehow Krishna's like, I'm here. So.
Yeah, it just happened to me yesterday, and this happens to me a lot when I'm just out and about, not at the temple, and I'll swear I see somebody with a bead bag, but it's not a bead bag.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen that too.
Same thing, what your consciousness is. You see devotees, you see stuff, it's because that's your consciousness.
Yeah. Yesterday I saw a guy. I said, "Oh, is that a guy wearing a dhoti?" But it was just a guy with white pants on, and he was carrying a white bag, and so it sort of looked like from far away. But yeah, he wasn't wearing a dhoti at all.
I guess it means we're transcendentally brainwashed.
I'll make sure you presented to 1 million books plus. And so he gets a lot of mercy. And he was saying how one time he was distributing books for so many hours, and he was walking through this stucco hallway, and he was saying that it appeared that the stucco was becoming the Maha Mantra.
Oh, I remember him telling that story. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and so, like you said, Krishna will pop up even when we're least expecting it. And there's so many stories of devotees too, right? That they decide, I'm going to bloop or whatever, and then they end up going somewhere and there's a devotee there, or there's a big picture of Krishna there, or whatever, and then they're just oh.
There's so many miracles throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I'm always thank you, Krishna. Grateful.
Yeah.
because there's just always like little reminders and just amazing. It's like, oh my God, you know, Ramadan, you know? It's like, yeah, I know, it's good. Well, just like Tsunami was saying, you know, that boy who had to do community service just happened to be an accountant, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what she needed. you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, yeah.
Tsunami's got all
She's in
kinds.
control of everything, so.
She's got all kinds.
I mean,
of-
Tsunami is also in control of almost everything, so.
Yeah.
Just-
Well, she's empowered.
Yeah. All right. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you. Love your classes.
Oh, they're showing,